to foster peace and security along their common borders. Hello and welcome to SSBC Afternoon News, coming to life in the national capital, Juba, with me, Abraham Aken, and we thank you very much for joining us. The Council of Ministers chaired by President Salva Kiir Mayardit has endorsed the National Land Policy and National Education Policy in Juba on Friday. Isaac Ludoro reports.
In a statement to the media after the cabinet meeting on Friday, the Minister of Information and the government spokesperson Michael Makwelwet summarized the conversation. He said the cabinet listened to a presentation on national land policy from the Minister of Land, Housing and Urban Development. The cabinet subsequently passed the document.
He made this presentation today so that people could understand what is the land and what do we mean by the land and who owns the land. The constitution of the government of South Sudan says land is owned by the people of South Sudan, and the government shall regulate its usage. Based on that, the presentation was made.
The cabinet proceeded to address and endorsed a submission from the Minister of General Education and Instruction on national teachers training centers and the national education policy.
This also was a policy for coming up with a unified training center, whereby we will give the necessary training which is highly needed, seriously needed here in South Sudan. And as such, it was the establishment of a vocational training center, which is very important.
The government spokesperson said the cabinet listened to and approved a report from the Minister of Youth and Sports on South Sudan's participation in the second East Africa Community Athletics Tournament, slated to roll out in Kigali, Rwanda on 30th November 2023.
The participation in these games means exposing the people of South Sudan and so that they are known also by the Africans and by the world, that we are here as people of South Sudan with our own abilities and so forth. This program was appreciated, was approved and passed, and the Minister of Finance and Planning is directed to avail these funds for this team accordingly.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation presented a report on his recent visit to the United States of America.
The government of South Sudan was charged of violating the rules and the financial rules and regulations, and especially on issues to do with the SWIFT code and fighting the money laundering and so forth.
The cabinet meeting concluded with extending condolence to the family of late Peter Lomole, a member in the Transitional National Legislative Assembly. Lomole died in Nairobi, Kenya on Friday, 27 October 2023.
We are also informed that there's bad news of the untimely death of Honorable Peter Lomole, a member of parliament and an icon, a commander in the SPLA, long time ago, who is a member of parliament, and he had been sick in Nairobi, and that he passed on yesterday. This is an information which was passed to us in the cabinet. We pray and ask the Lord to take care of him and lay his rest in eternal peace.
Government has ratified 3 international protocols, including suppression of the financing of terrorism, anti-money laundering, and transitional organized crimes. Foreign Minister Dr. James Bitia Morgan, who signed the treaties last week, briefed the President on the importance of the treaties, and potential impact on national security and economic stability. The minister said this marks a significant step in South Sudan's efforts to strengthen peace and security.
He sent me to sign some of the important international protocols. These protocols are regarding some of the most important things that a member state of the United Nations must sign it. So all these years South Sudan has not signed it, but we want to thank our president for making this a timely decision so that this country can move in the right path. One of the protocol was the separation in financing the terrorism and money laundering and organized crimes. As we did not sign, I think we had been monitored by the United Nations watchdog, known as the Financial Action Task Force, using its financial intelligence offices around the world to see which countries are members and which countries are not. So South Sudan was not a member at that time, but now we are so grateful with the decision of His Excellency the President. We were able to come out of this. We acceded to these protocols, and it was circulated in the United Nations Journal immediately after our signing. So now South Sudan is out.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Albino Kolatak, has briefed President Salva Kiir on the humanitarian situation of returnees and refugees in the country. The minister, however, revealed that a ray of hope is on the horizon as Saudi Arabian government has pledged support in alleviating the suffering of refugees and returnees from Sudan, saying the support would improve the welfare of those affected by the Sudanese conflict.
This briefing ranged from general humanitarian situation that up to now more than 350,000 returnees and refugees has arrived to the country, of which 150,000 have been transported to their various places. And we are now dealing with the issues of integration of these people to where we took them. So the general situation of humanitarian has been, I briefed the President on that, which is still dire with the continuation of the problem in Sudan, so which is causing movement of these people to South Sudan. I also briefed His Excellency the President about my tour to the sisterly countries in Middle East, where on the same note that I briefed the President, and he directed me to go to these countries. And I told him that the response from these countries is actually very positive to the request that we requested for humanitarian support to our returnees that are coming from Sudan. I also informed the President that Saudi Arabia is now responding to the letter of His Excellency the President for the humanitarian support. And this response is in terms of first batch that is composed of 6 cargo planes that are full with the assorted food items, non-food items, and medicines. This batch will start coming tomorrow, Saturday. Around 11 a.m., the first cargo plane will arrive to Juba International Airport. And the rest will come the same day, Saturday and Sunday and Monday, 6 in number, 6 cargo in number. Each cargo is carrying 27 tons of assorted food items, as I said, and non-food items and medicines. I briefed His Excellency about this, and he directed me to receive these food items on his behalf in Juba International Airport tomorrow until all these donations are.
Government and the World Bank Group have discussed strengthening cooperation. This comes during a meeting between Vice President Dr. James Waniga and the World Bank Group delegation in Juba. Dr. Iga urges the bank to continue working with the government for the success for the success of its economic reform agenda. In a statement to the media, the World Bank's Senior Operations Officer for Eritrea, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Sudan, Charles Andelan, says the team is in the capital Juba for partnership framework.
Today we just had a meeting with the Vice President to discuss with our team priorities and future directions for development for the partnership between the World Bank and South Sudan. We have a team here this week that is working on preparing something we call a country partnership framework. This is a general strategy that will provide the framework or the guidelines for programming in South Sudan in the coming 5 years. We had a very productive discussion, a very eloquent description of the many sort of priority areas with which the World Bank can engage with South Sudan in delivering better development for the people.
Deliberations on environmental management and the 5% oil revenue share in the oil-producing areas has been concluded in Juba with a number of resolutions. In his closing remarks, Vice President Hussein Abdelbaga expresses government's commitment to support in addressing environmental issues affecting communities in the oil-producing areas. Ayuel Ringarop has the details.
A 3-day workshop on the third high-level meeting on the environmental management and revenue sharing issues in the oil-producing areas has come to an end with a number of resolutions. Addressing the closing session, Vice President His Excellency Hussein Abdelbaga commended timely transfer of 2% to the oil-producing communities in order to address the provision of social service and development in the oil-producing areas.
I am particularly very happy because you have deliberated on pertinent issues that affected communities in oil-producing areas. Indeed, I am in support of all of your resolution or recommendation, which stress the following points as per the briefing I got. Timely transfer of 2% to the oil-producing communities. This is a key to address provision of the social services and development in the oil-producing area. Defining the oil-producing county or village is important to avoid conflicts. This is rightly the work of the Council of State, local government in consultation with the central government.
Deputy Special Representative of United Nations Secretary General on Political Affairs in the Republic of South Sudan, His Excellency Kwang Kong, urges the government to support areas of oil production in the country promoting sustainable development.
I firmly believe that the discussions and commitments forged during this event will serve as a foundation for positive change and sustainable development. I'm confident that you will carry forth the spirits of cooperation and accountability that has been manifestly demonstrated during the last 3 days in this meeting.
The Governor of Upper Nile State, Honorable James Odok Oyai, appealed to the Council of State to prioritize the implementation of the recommendation put forth in the workshop, as well as working closely with relevant stakeholders to ensure that these recommendations are implemented effectively.
هم الناس المستفيدين من 3%، لكن المشاكل اللي عندنا في 2% مشاكل كثيرة جدا. نتمنى الدور الجاي مجلس الولايات يجينا وندي كل التفاصيل بتاع القروش ده قاعدين نعمل بهم شنو.
For the informative edition of SSBC, Ayuel Ringarop, Juba.
Speaking at the same occasion, the Speaker of the Council of States, Deng Dengakon, says the Council of States is committed to considering the recommendations of the meeting, with Ruweng Chief Administrator encouraging initiators to continue conducting such dialogues to keep updating communities in oil-producing areas on environmental laws.
the Council of State committed to upholding the recommendation of this important workshop on environmental and oil-related issues and will deliberate on them to pass the necessary resolutions. Once again, as mandated by Article 56 of the Transition Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan, the Council of State is responsible for overseeing and monitoring the management and the use of revenue derived from the petroleum and gas resources in the state and administrative areas. The Council recognizes the importance of environmental protection and equitable distribution of oil revenues.
Your Excellency, we have been here for the last 3 days. And for the last 3 days, yes, we have agreed there are serious issues to do with environmental pollution and how that has affected the life of our people, the animal. We have also agreed there are serious issues to do with transparency and accountability, and especially when it comes to the transfers of the 2 and 3%, and especially between or among the key institutions, Ministry of Petroleum, Ministry of Finance, and the Central.
We now go to the Angolan capital, Luanda, where the Speaker of the National Assembly of Tanzania, Dr. Tulia Ackson, has been elected as new president of the Interparliamentary Union with 172 votes in a contested involving Malawi, Senegal, and Somalia. The election was held during the 147th General Assembly.
Speaker, Madam Tulia Ackson, got elected as the president of IPU from Africa, among the 4 candidates. And South Sudan, being from East Africa, has been pioneering the campaign for Madam Tulia, and the African geopolitical group has won the presidency of the IPU with 170 votes.
This year made tremendous contributions in various committees. We start from the committee represented by Honorable Daniel Abucha, who represented the delegation in the Young Parliamentarian Forum. He did a very tremendous contributions towards the participation of young parliamentarians from the Republic of South Sudan. So far, we are at the right track. We will be going back for him to organize and put the panel in place so that now our youth will be having full participation in the Young Parliamentarians Forum of the IPU.
I reaffirm my commitment to work hand in hand with you all to make the IPU the most effective, accountable, and transparent organization.
And coming up, a consultative meeting among the transitional government of Sudan and signatories to the Juba Peace Agreement, as well as leaders of political parties, has been concluded in Juba with a call for immediate cessation of hostilities. We are going for a short break, and don't go anywhere.
Greater Upper Nile Region States and Administrative Areas High-Level Committee for Endorsement of SPLM Chairman, under the leadership of Comrade Dr. Joseph Manchwil Wijang, organizes the endorsement rally of Comrade General Salva Kiir Mayardit as SPLM flag bearer and presidential candidate in forthcoming general election 2024 in Malakal town on the first week of December 2023, under the theme Reigniting SPLM in Greater Upper Nile Region to endorse President Salva Kiir Mayardit for general election 2024.
It is my humble request to the great people of Upper Nile region to reconcile and come together as the people of one region and as the people of the great South Sudan. Let us forge a new page of love, page of reconciliation, and page of belonging to that great region of Upper Nile. And I therefore call upon all of you, the people of Upper Nile region, to turn out in Malakal town for the reception and welcoming of our chairman of the SPLM and the President of the Republic, Comrade General Salva Kiir Mayardit, the champion of our independence and peacemaker in our country.
All communities of Greater Upper Nile region are invited to welcome the champion of peace and symbol of unity to Malakal town, His Excellency General President Salva Kiir Mayardit.
Welcome back from that short break. You are still watching SSBC 1 p.m. news coming to live in the national capital, Juba. And to continue, the consultative meeting among the transitional government of Sudan and the signatories to the Juba Peace Agreement, as well as leaders of political parties, has been concluded in Juba. The meeting came up with a number of resolutions and recommendations calling for immediate cessation of hostilities, ceasefire in Sudan. Speaking to SSBC, the chairperson of the Sudan Peace Mediation Committee, Tut Galwak, urges the warring parties to accept dialogue to restore peace and stability in Sudan. A member of the committee, Dr. Dio Matokding, also spoke during the meeting. The consultative meeting was attended by more than 10 political parties, members of civil society organizations and diplomatic corps, as well as religious leaders and Sudanese government officials.
نحن اليوم ما نقف على طرف اتفاقية جبل السلام. ندعو كل الشركاء، كل القوى السياسية السودانية والمجتمع المدني لمقبوله لمدينة الجوبة، ونتشارك ونفكر كيفية نوقف حرب في السودان. نحن ندعم كل ما ينادي بالسلام. نحن جاهزين نقيم مع كل زول يقدم لمواطن السوداني عشان يحقق السلام. نحن مسؤولنا كلنا، لأن بأقرب فرصة ممكن يجي سلام في السودان. عشان يكون في سلام في السودان نحن كلنا متابعين، لأن يوم 26 في هذا الشهر يكون في تفاوض بعد تعرف مدينة جدة، وإن شاء الله تفاوض جدة يطلع بنتائج كويسة. أول نتيجة وقضاء نار الشامل وفصل القوات وبعدها عمل إنسان للمواطنين في السودان. Because they believe that South Sudan is the only country that could bring peace in Sudan. The other part of the communique, they are supporting what is taking place now in Jeddah, for the fact that the two parties must have to reach the agreement on cessation of hostilities, such that the war stop immediately in Sudan. So these are two key points that actually came out from this communique. We are expecting South Sudan to host a bigger forum where the Sudanese political parties and civil society organizations, the faith-based groups, all political activists, they are supposed to come to South Sudan through invitation of the President, so that people discuss on how the war should be stopped in Sudan. This is basically the core of the...
The Regional Police Chiefs Annual General Meeting has been concluded in the Burundian capital, Bujumbura, on Friday. In his closing remarks, the Vice President of Burundi, Engineer Prosper Bazombanza, calls on the member states to work as a team in countering terrorist activities, among other crimes in the region. During the meeting, the Council of Ministers adopted the resolutions, which include information sharing and training of police on countering human and drug trafficking in the region. Speaking to SSBC, the Minister of Interior, Angelina Tang, says South Sudan welcomes a resolution to host the East African Police Chief Cooperation Organization annual meeting in 2025.
Came as a team from the Ministry of Interior to attend an annual meeting. This meeting is the meeting of the East African Community Chief of Police Cooperation Organization, EPCO. This is a very important organization. It deals with issues to do with transnational crimes, and particularly we discuss in these meetings, this is actually from the report of the chiefs of police, IGPs, the council. They have met for 3 days. They have discussed things to do with how to combat terrorism and how to handle issues to do with transnational crimes. Many issues that we are suffering from at home. So we came as the Council of Ministers today to discuss the report of the Council of Police, the Council of Chiefs of Police. Have come up with resolutions based on that. So it is agreed that we enhance cooperation, we develop mechanisms, we also look at the previous resolutions and what has been implemented and what needs to be implemented and how they can be supported, member state to be supported to actually of South Sudan. We are going to host the 27th annual meeting of EPCO, and this will take place in 2025. And we're going to be preparing so that we'll be receiving.
The Bank of South Sudan announces financial mechanisms to control the depreciation of South Sudanese pounds against the dollars. The mechanism including increasing weekly dollar auctioning and reinstating shorter-term tenors that are attractive to commercial banks. During a news conference, the bank's governor, Dr. James Ali Grang, assures the public that the bank will keep monitoring foreign exchange, increasing the weekly amount of dollars for the auction to both forex bureaus and commercial banks to support the balance of payment obligations and combat inflationary pressures.
To strengthen policy coordination with the fiscal authorities. This is key. It's not only in South Sudan. It is an issue that is of international character. On one hand, you have fiscal policy. Their aim is to raise revenue and make decisions about spending. On the other hand, you have the bank, whose mandate is to stabilize prices and achieve price stability. Bank of South Sudan assures the public that it will keep monitoring developments in the foreign exchange market. It will intervene when necessary through increasing the amount of dollars for auction going to both forex and commercial banks with an aim to support the balance of payment obligations and at the end of the day combat inflationary.
Now, a joint cross-border peace and security coordination meeting commences with renewed momentum towards fostering peaceful coexistence among the border communities of Central Equatoria and Uganda's Western Nile districts of Moyo, Koboko, Yumbe, and Ajumuni. The governor, speaking during the opening session, Governor Emmanuel Hadil Anthony registered his compliments to Presidents Yoweri Museveni and Salva Kiir Mayardit for their continuous efforts exerted on cross-border meetings aimed at fostering unity of purpose among their common borders. Governor Adil says the meeting aims to harmonize and maintain peace, security, and economic stability for the good of the border communities of the two countries. Uganda's State Minister for Defense and Veteran Affairs, Uda Ajat, updated the audience of the resolutions of the meeting with President Kiir, which calls for immediate action to expedite the final border demarcation and revival of the Joint Technical Committee on delimitation and demarcation of their international borders.
Your Excellency, the Governor, we came up with 5 resolutions, which I thought I should communicate to you in this meeting. One was the revival of the Joint Permanent Commission. So we agreed, and the President General Salva Kiir directed that this commission must be revived immediately. That was his direction, and we have taken it as a resolution that will be delivered to my president here. The two resolutions was the reactivation of the Joint Technical Committee on the Border Demarcation.
Opportunity once more to urge this gathering to promote peaceful coexistence, security and welfare of our people. I therefore engage in continuous meetings to manage affairs within our jurisdiction amicably and reasonably. I'm privileged and would like to share with you, brothers and sisters, my desire to see our border develop as a tourist hub and prosper to economic interweighing trade model and productive commercial activities that are unique in our world other than dwelling in discussing border crisis.
My role here is to explain and even first appreciate our local government authorities on both sides for having maintaining peace and security for all this time. And I would like to clarify that the issues of borders are actually competence of the two national governments.
These engagements should really achieve the purpose intended. We have bigger things to achieve as two states. We have economic interests to protect and achieve. Our communities are poor. This infights, this intrigue, this continuous conflict does not transform our households.
It is indeed true that it is our responsibility as leaders to see to it that whatever we discuss, we put it into practice so that our communities can live in harmony.
Still to come here on the News Hour, Western Equatorial State Governor Alfred Futuyo-Krava calls on the communities to embark on agriculture to avoid depending on food imports from other countries. These and more stories will come to you after the break. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. Western Equatorial State has celebrated the 78th anniversary of the UN service in the world. Speaking during the occasion, Governor Alfred Futuyo-Krava calls on the communities to embark on agriculture to avoid depending on food imports from other countries. Hanmi's head of field office in Yambio, Christopher Morenga, read the speech of the UN Secretary General during the occasion.
Nina kalelina kunu supply ma Uganda tale bukunu supply Western Equatorial and Turabidake.
It is our responsibility to help build that world of peace, sustainable development, and human rights for all. I know we can do it. The Charter of the United Nations, which entered into force 78 years ago today, points the way. Above all, it is rooted in a spirit of determination to heal divisions, repair relations.
And Governor Sarah Cleto Asenrial calls on the people of Western Barra Ghazal State to unite and work together to address the challenges facing peace and development process in the state. Addressing the celebration of the United Nations Day in the capital, Wau, Governor Sarah Cleto applauded the role of the UN mission in the country's peace efforts and its development agenda. The Speaker of the State Assembly, Mahmoudine Abakar Mahmoudine, have confirmed that the state enjoys peace and stability as a result of the cooperation of government agencies in the state. The head of the UN mission in the state, Sam Mamour, affirmed United Nations' commitment in cooperating with the government to achieve peace and development.
As citizens of Western Bahar al-Ghazal, I call upon you all to come together with our partners so that we can tackle the great challenges in our state and advance sustainable development in South Sudan, in Western Bahar al-Ghazal in particular. I want the United Nations in Western Bahar al-Ghazal state for their strong commitment or any tribe or any region.
Me, as the head of the State Legislative Assembly, I want to assure to you that the state is in peace and the next part of the term, which was started already a few years ago and yesterday by some development such as the improvement of the physical infrastructure in the state here. The election,
but despite these challenges, the UN family is working in partnership with the government and the people of the way for sustainable development. Our humanitarian and development agencies are providing life-saving assistance.
Commemoration of the 78th anniversary of the United Nations Day in the capital in Awul West County. Abraham Felix reports.
The Deputy Governor Tong Loal says government remains committed to promote peace across the country.
Economies in northern Barghazal state, they are trying their best to promote peace and to organize other football, competition in the entire state.
The State Minister of Peace Building, Abur Gordon Nial, described the importance of peace and unity among the people.
Our aim is to inform the rest of the state that whoever is refugee in your area, treat him equal because we are all under one. The human rights is telling us we are federal.
Towards peace and service delivery.
The United Nations will continue to support the government of South Sudan throughout, and as we prepare for December 24 elections in 2024, assistance to the people of South Sudan.
The day was marked with a football tournament between host community and the Sudanese refugees, which ended Tuesday.
The SPLM Secretary for Popular and Syndicated Organization, Mary Paul Mundang, has called for equal educational rights for all children, regardless of ethnic background. League Party commended the party for supporting students in student league at the universities in higher learning institutions.
University, تأكد إنه أنت شايل معك أختك, your sister, your auntie. Let us give them chance to educate themselves, your mothers. لأنه المرأة المتعلمة أولادها هم بيكونوا قيادات بتاع بلدنا.
The SPLM leadership and the leadership of Secretariat of Popular and Syndicated Organizations and the strong women, Comrade Mary Paul Mundang, as work hard to the first year to make sure that this day is given to you so that you are informed politically that SPLM is a strong political party and is the only political party that will lead this country.
In some common challenges we have just seen within just a 4-week time we spent here. We are 4 weeks all here.
And that story brings us to the end of SSBC 1 p.m. news. From me, Abraham Ken, and the whole team here, we thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.